Welcome to Coffee and the Bull.
Annoying, but it was, hey man, how do I do this? Hey, this is the situation. How do we play this out? To another place where it was like nobody wanted to call you because your name in the upper areas, brought in a distaste in their mouth, and again, it was me. I was the problem because I was continuing to stay in a situation that I thought could get better, and it couldn't. It ended up biting me in the backside, And same thing goes with everything else we do in life. We have to realize and evaluate our situations and say, is this a good situation or a bad situation? And if it's a good situation, stay in it. Put the work into it, whether it's your marriage, whether it's your job, whether it's, your financial statuses and stuff like that. And the other side of that is stop trying to keep up with the Joneses, as they used to say, the fancy house, the nice car. Nobody cares. If your friends come over to see your mansion, they might talk about it for the 10-minute ride home to go, man, Bill's got a big house. Then they don't care anymore.
Right.
It's.
So let's change it up a little bit. Let's look at it from a different standpoint, because like we talked about in the beginning, our theme is, hey, I didn't sign up for this, or this isn't what I signed up for, however you want to look at it. Let's look at it from the standpoint, because we're trying to offer some solutions, and unfortunately some of our solutions before has been, hey, we don't have the answers.
Right. That's the fact. You don't have all the answers.
I didn't run this by you, but let's play it from the standpoint of the mom who, like I remember I worked a fatality one time on the interstate, and I assume they had a good relationship. They had 2 kids. Dad passed away in a car wreck, right? Mom now has to pick the pieces up,
right,
and has to take and be mom and dad to these 2 kids,
right.
On top of, she's got to go through the grieving process. She's now got to fill the holes, financially that were there, with him being gone now. Fill them emotionally with him being gone, because now typically, your spouse is your biggest supporter. That's your person, Now he's not there, and she's got to figure all this out. Obviously, she didn't sign up for that. That's not what she signed up for, but life happened, all right?
Right.
So we got that scenario. And let's also add the scenario of, let's say, 28-year-old guy, right? He's driving a 1998 Honda Civic because that's all he can afford. He's got to do. Let's say he got a good degree, not in basket weaving or anything like that, anything dumb, liberal ice cream studies or anything like that. Let's say he's actually got a good degree,
right.
As a business manager or something like that. But he's at a restaurant that he's making, barely making ends meet, because it's a smaller restaurant or whatever, and he doesn't know how to go from there. Is there something, maybe a obviously we can't say, hey, keep your head up, slugger,
right?
You'll be good. But
you also can't say, hey, take today, but tomorrow. On those situations.
So we've got a different approach on that, and I don't want to leave these guys out from the scenario, because I know there was a point in my life where I would have been like, hey, while I appreciate what you're saying, this doesn't apply to me, and but I also, and so I think, a lot of people, life happens in a way that you can't expect it to, in a way that you didn't want it to, and some of it's unpreventable, and some of it is, hey, this, for example, in that scenario, that guy did everything he could to make himself better. It just opportunity hasn't presented itself yet,
right? And
for the mom, who's now got to be mom and dad because dad passed away, and we see that way too much.
Yes.
It's now thrust upon them in that moment to have to do all this. Her, I could say maybe take a day, maybe
or two,
take today
or 3.
Maybe, I feel like maybe 3 days. After 3, it's time to suck it up, Buttercup.
Right?
No, I'm
he's
kidding.
kidding. He's kidding. I know for a fact
but
he's kidding.
It's one of those things where, I don't know that the answer that we can give is for those specific people.
Right.
I think it might be for the people around them. Who says, hey, hey, look, it's time to be a helping hand. It's time to stop being selfish, and go give them a hand. Like we see it a lot with funerals, and that was I'll give my dad said this one time at a funeral. We had a child in our family pass away, and I remember he was preaching a funeral, and he gave the statement. He said, keep us in your prayers tomorrow, and I thought that was, that kind of struck out to me, because a lot of times, like, we go to funerals for friends, we go to funerals for family members, you hug each other, hey, here's offer my condolences, or whatever condolence is, and you go about your business. You when you leave the graveside or the funeral service, because it's a cremation or whatever, you leave, you're done. I'm showing up to pay my respects. Okay, you did that that's for the dead person.
Right. Right.
But what about the family that's got to pick up the pieces? They're going home, and you might call. You might have called them. Honestly, you might have called them before the funeral. Hey, how's everything going, or whatever. Like, oh, it is what it is. But when's the last time you checked on anybody 2 days after the funeral?
Right.
Or even a week after the funeral, because guess what? That loss is still there. It's not an immediate.
Yeah.
You don't get to be like, all right, funeral's done. Ooh, got that. Glad we got that past us.
Right.
No, there's still a massive grieving process, and we leave people out to dry for that. And so that's where I think, for the people who are going through that, where a life threw you something that you can't do, I don't have an answer for you. But I got an answer for your friends. They need to be better friends.
Right.
They need to take a moment and say, hey, look, I am going to be here for you no matter what. From the guy who, hey, he's taking in, he's driving his car, he just doesn't have ends meet. I don't know that I've got an answer for that.
The only thing I can suggest for that guy is if you got a good degree and the opportunity hasn't come, and this kind of applies to both situations, and this goes back to something my mama used to tell me, that everything in life at the time is going to be a lesson or a blessing, and you'll find that eventually in life your lessons turn to blessings, and you're going to be right where you need to be. And
I hate you so much right now.
Why?
Because I had a lady who had a extensive drug history or narcotics history. She every time she'd come back from rehab, because she had been about 3 or 4 times that I know of, and every time I talked to her, I could tell if she was telling me statements like that, because that's what they teach at rehab.
Right. My mama never went to rehab.
Then I know she's still clean. But the moment she's like, "Hey, how's it going, Deputy DePhillips?" I knew you're back on.
Yeah, you own it. You own it. You being too nice.
But it always threw me off. I was like, it's just these candy cutter things getting thrown out there. But anyway.
So, if you're stuck in that boat, because I was in that boat when I got into the military, like I thought for sure, I was like, well, I got 10 years in this. I'm medically retired. Like I'm about to roll on these jobs. Nobody will turn me down. And the local police department, 2 years running, was like, nope, I'm not even gonna call you back.
Right.
And I was just like, okay, all right. I had no clue how to even get into the field, so I ended up with a job at a Harley dealership, and it was like, there was no love for anything. They were just like, oh, you're in the military, that's cool. Like, oh, nobody cares, and in reality, that's one of the hard checks that you get when you get out of the military, you get out of whatever field or college and everything else, and they're like, congratulations, you can start Monday.
It's almost like the episode we said a couple episodes back, the world doesn't care about you.
Right. And that's what it was, where it's like, while you're in the military, and they tell you, they're like, oh, if you get a dishonorable discharge, you'll never work, you'll never get a good job. That's bull butter. I know plenty of dudes who had dishonorable discharges who got decent jobs that were able to provide for their families. It doesn't look good, but it's not the end of the world. And nobody cares.
We are not advocating, if you're in the military, for you to go get a dishonorable discharge. Please ignore what he's saying.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's the route to go.
Oh my gosh.
But
we're getting canceled.
We're not getting canceled.
We're going to get canceled. I see it now.
But it's one of those things where it's like everybody makes a big deal about it, and truly nobody cares. Like, you get the onesies and twosies that are like, hey, thank you for your service, whatever. But I'm almost 40 years old. I'm not 20-year-old me, let's go kick down doors and take out Al-Qaeda and everything else. Like, that guy's gone, all right? He's in my brain, but my body is like, no, he ain't here no more. You ain't hiking 20 miles. You ain't doing that. And going back to the funeral aspect, you know, Daddy used to tell me, don't ever ask somebody if there was anything you could do for them. Don't ask, you know, do you need anything? Can I, you know, what can I
Just
do
go
for
do
you? He said, you show up, you be there present to do it. He said, but you don't ask. And he said, you don't ask because you don't know what they'll say. Because the moment she says, yeah, you want to pay the mortgage for the next 2 months till I get a job, like, you asked. She's like, don't sign yourself up for something you're not able to follow through on. And it brought me to this thing where it was like, rather than us guys out there, because we do it all the time. Hey, man, you need anything? You good? Ask the question, but be prepared to follow through with it. And you know, the other thing I wanted to bring up is everybody, I see the posts all the time, you know, like, you know, don't tell me how long to grieve for. Don't, you know, how long does the pain still last? I can tell you, I lost my mother at 17 years old, so 22 years now. The absence is still there. You know, there's times in my life where, you know, talking to you and you're like, yeah, I was just got off the phone with my mama. And in my brain, I'm like, man, I wish for some of the dumb things or the I don't know where to turn or what to do moments that I could call my mom and be like, I don't know what to
Right.
do. Like, I have no clue which way's up. I've put all of my eggs in this basket, and somebody stole the whole ass basket. Like, I don't know what to do, and you don't have it, and so it's nowhere near the pain of day one. But 22 years later, that's still gonna resonate. It's
Right.
still gonna, you know, I didn't sign up for 40 years, you know, and realizing that for the last 22 of them, I didn't have a mom to lay back on, you know, and I have a great, you know, step in mom, which is my stepmom, and she's divorced from my dad now, but I still call her mom. I still call her up when things get rough. It's not the same, you
Right.
know, and her mom standpoint and my mother's standpoint are two completely different avenues. You know, my stepmom is more of a, it's okay, honey. We'll take it day by day. We'll get through it. Whereas my mom was like, hit them with the left because they won't see it coming. You know, and that was her standpoint, was be aggressive, be loud, and let them know you're coming. And I can say that if you're in that boat where life has hit you with that curveball, you know, you lost your loved one unexpectedly, you know, you didn't plan for it. You you have to roll with the punches, and you got to do it in your own pace, but you got to remember not to hang up on it.
Right.
Don't let that be your catalyst or your hang up where a year, 2 years later, you're still going, oh, I miss them. I need them. I'm falling. I'm struggling. You're going to bring yourself to a point where you're at the bottom and you've unintentionally made yourself a victim beyond your point of victim. You know, there's a time and a place. There's a time and a place to be the victim. There's a time and a place to go, poor me, this sucks. I need a pity party. I want everybody to coddle me, and I want you to, you know, curl me up in the fetal position in bed and put blankets on me.
Right. Let me be the little spoon.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
let's call it
That's
what it is.
it is what it is. Like, let me be the victim here, and you know, I can tell you, honest to God, I've curled up in the shower before in a ball and just let the hot water run out and been like, I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. But there's a moment where you've got to go. It's time to turn the water off. It's time to get out of the shower, and it's time to pick myself up and move forward because I'm not going to let them win. I'm not going to let them take me down. I've fought too hard. I've moved through so much in my life that I'm not going to let them be victorious over this. This is not going to be the mountain or
Right.
the straw that broke my back. But you also have other things that rely on you, you know, be it your children, be it your family, your friends, whatever. There are other entities in the world that rely on you, as trivial as you may see yourself. They see you as a mountain. They see you as a rock, you know, and it's one of the reasons that we're such good friends. When I look at you, there are moments when I look at you and I see a supervisor, you know, somebody that I can call on for advice. There's times I look at you and I go, this is an equal to me. And there's times I can look at you and go, I can guide you through what you're going
Right.
through. And that's the balance that we don't ever realize that you have it until you're at that point in life where you go, I can be a mentor, I can be a friend, and I can be a follower to this person. And if you don't get yourself out of that victim mindset and you stay in that damaged goods area of your life, you're going to be there for the rest of your life. You're never going to pull yourself out. And you're going to be that person 10, 15 years from now, and everybody's like, oh, what happened to Bill, or what happened to Linda, or whatever. And it's like, well, they're still at home crying because 10 years ago they lost somebody and they never healed from it. And that's where we advocate if you can't pull yourself out, find somebody to hold your hand through it, to sit with you through that trauma and walk you out of it, or run out of it, or however you get out of it. It's going back to our first episode. We've never denounced therapy. We've never said don't seek counselors. If you're in that trauma victim status, that's the word. If you're in that status, go seek that mental help, because that's traumatic. You need somebody who can walk you through that. If you're at that point in life where it's like, I've gotten this degree, I put all my effort and energy into being an educated person and get this great job, but that job isn't there, you got to look at the dynamics. Are you in an area where that job is prevalent? Are you in a position to take that job if it were to come available? Are you satisfying your ends to make a meet? Or are you actually trying to get out of I'm a server at a restaurant and I'm barely getting by and I'm struggling, but I have everything it takes to accomplish this? If you're not using what you have, ask yourself, are you the problem? And if you are, why aren't you the solution to your problem? So it's kind of hitting on both heads here. You may not have signed up for the life you're in.
Right.
But you got yourself in that life, and it's up to you to get yourself to where you need to be or want to be. And back to your goals. Are your goals realistic? Is the mansion and the Ferrari and everything else a realistic goal?
Or was it childhood?
Right. Is that, am I looking for a status to keep up with others? Or I didn't go to my 20-year high school reunion because I didn't like them then. I don't like them now.
Right.
But I also didn't want to be that guy that walked in and was like, I'm
a loser.
Right. I didn't accomplish anything.
Right.
I'm nowhere near where I thought I would be. I'm nowhere near where anybody anticipated I would be, or because everybody had the, most successful or voted whatever. I think I was voted most likely to be in prison. I don't know. But I look back at my life and I can say, I had an over 10-year military career. I was highly decorated. I did multiple tours in combat. I did all of these things that mean nothing now.
Right.
I'm a dad. I'm great. I love my kids. I have a house. I have a truck. What does that really accomplish? What goal do I have? And so that's one of the things that I'm like this podcast. We have a goal, we have a mission, and that's to help people. That's to get the word out that, hey, you're not alone in your struggles.
Right.
We've experienced loss, we've experienced trauma, we've been down those rabbit holes of the bottom of the barrel where it's like the Glock or the whiskey, they both look good, and it's not impossible to come out of the dark. It's not impossible to find somebody who can sit with you through your trauma. And you didn't sign up for this, because I guarantee you there's moments in our lives that we didn't sign up for that. And now we're sitting there, doing things like this, and we're going out and trying to better our lives and trying to find a career path, or trying to find a satisfaction with our relationships, whether it's, romantic or cordial friendships or whatever the case is. So, I mean, guys, that's kind of where we're at. That's we get that not everybody signed up for this, but the end all be all is you're not alone. There's hundreds of things that you're going to go through in life that other people have gone through before, and you have to trust. And this is where, as men, it's difficult. We have to trust that somebody has been down that road before.
Right.
If you've committed adultery, if you've cheated on your taxes, or you've done whatever, there's people who have done that and they've recovered from it. If look at the guys that have gone to prison and they've gotten out of prison and they've made successes of themselves. What's a famous guy? It's not Steve Jobs, it's the other one, who's still alive. I can't remember his name. Is Steve Jobs still alive?
No.
Who's the other guy? Bill Gates, right?
Okay.
He's going through a divorce right now. Dude's a billionaire. Could literally give half of everything he owns to his wife. Still a billionaire. You know, if a billionaire can get divorced, guy making 20 grand a year can get divorced.
Right.
You know, you're not alone. It's not the end of the world. You just have to look at it from a different point of view and go, this chapter's over. You know, it's time to start a new chapter. I lost my job. That chapter's over. It's time to find a new chapter. You know, and it may not be what you signed up for, but it's a path that you're on, and it's up to you to get off that path and find the path you need to be walking down.
Well, I think that's going to conclude our episode for today.
I apologize for my tangent. I kind of just went off on the end there.
So we appreciate y'all taking a moment out of your day and listen to this. We do ask, like we do every episode, go ahead. If you hadn't hit that like, subscribe, share button, comment, follow, all the little buttons
All the good
that you
stuff.
got, just hit all of them. Do those for us because that helps track our success, or helps track how much engagement we have.
Right.
If you do find that, hey, you think we're off base, shoot us an email. It's coffeeandthebull@yahoo.com. Or if you're like, hey, look, I like what you're doing. I like, this is making a difference to me. Much like the guy who sent us a review on When the World Goes Dark. Shoot us an email. Send it to us. Let us know. Hey, keep it anonymous, or put my name on it. We will be more than happy to share it with everybody because your story may help somebody else, or your questions may generate a topic for us for an episode that will help you, or it may help somebody else. So let us know what you're going through. Let us know what you think. Even if it's just, hey guys, I think y'all suck. I hate your voices. That's fine.
Right.
Feel free. Just do it in email form. Coffeeandthebull@yahoo.com.
With that, guys, and then I'm speaking specifically to men in this point. We have gotten an overwhelming amount of comments and likes and shares from our female audience.
Y'all
guys,
are losing.
Right. Like, we get it. It's difficult for us to, especially if you don't know us, it's difficult for you to say, hey, I'm emotionally invested, or this is actually helping me get through some struggles of our own. You can send an email anonymously. You can send it to us. It's not, like we're going to look you up or try to track you down. I'm definitely not going to say your name, which is the guy that had sent me the message. He was actually a really good friend of mine. I'm not going to say his name because he didn't tell me I could say his name. So if you feel like showing that insecurity is in any way going to affect your day-to-day, or we're gonna snitch you out as to who you are, I promise you it's not going to happen. Your confidentiality is safe with us. It's more so that we can let other guys know you're not alone and we have your back. And that's what we're here for. I'm not coming to your house at 2 o'clock in the morning because some of you don't live within 60 miles. That's our radius that I'll travel. But that's kind of it for today. Like Mike said, like, follow, subscribe, and share. Coffeeandthebull@yahoo.com.
No.
No.
Toodaloo.
I knew it. You didn't fool nobody. It's stupid. Didn't fool nobody.